Here's Brody Brazil.
I feel like there's kind of this weird phenomenon surrounding the Golden Knights because I've been covering hockey now professionally for 15 years. I've been watching it a lot longer than that. And they've only existed for 6 full seasons now. This is year 7 of the franchise. But they get talked about a lot. They're always in the center of focus. They're relevant. They're in the news. They're part of the discussion, which is fine. It's great. I'm just saying in comparison to even another expansion team like the Seattle Kraken or other teams that have been around for several decades like the Anaheim Ducks, the Colorado Avalanche, on and on and on, the Golden Knights are always a focal point of conversation. And that's one part of it. Like, they're relevant. They're always in it. But the other part about it is that whenever I talk about the Golden Knights, I feel like in the comment section or on social media, what I say gets twisted or misinterpreted or just flat out taken the wrong way, and maybe I'm not doing a well enough job communicating it. So that's the point of this video, to do some real talk about VGK. These are the truths of the Vegas Golden Knights. This is real talk about Las Vegas's hockey franchise. I want to try and explain all of this and address the biggest points and topics in my own words so that there's really no misunderstanding. If I do this right, you and I might see a little bit more eye to eye on the situation. And let's start off with how the franchise started off. The expansion draft, which was a first of its kind, and it came with a hefty expansion price tag of Mr. Bill Foley entering the NHL, and obviously you get what you pay for, and in this case, the Golden Knights got a pretty good draft situation. They gained 37 skilled players in one day, just like the Seattle Kraken, right? And 10 of the 37 that were initially drafted were still on the roster 4 years later. So they had some turnover, but they definitely gained their core on one single day that summer. There was no cheating here. This is the way it was lined up. This is what everybody agreed to. So don't ever misinterpret when I say that they had something that was against the rules or they bent the system. Not exactly at all. They did this legitimately. They were creative. They were thoughtful. And I think the Seattle Kraken even tried to a certain degree to emulate what the Golden Knights did. They took advantage of an opportunity. Let's call it that. It was an opportunity to have this kind of expansion draft, and they ran with it, and they benefited not just for 1 year, but 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Like, they're still benefiting from the way they entered the NHL. Now, to be clear, let's talk about a team like the San Jose Sharks. When they were an expansion club in the NHL, they got to poach like a total of 9 players from the Minnesota North Stars, and that was their expansion benefit. It's entirely different than what the Golden Knights got, right? And again, apples and oranges, 2 different time periods, 2 different ways of it happening. This is what everybody agreed to. There's no cheating here. They took advantage of an opportunity, and they're still taking advantage of it to this day. They've been proactive to maintain their success. They kind of got that running start to their existence. And by the way, like if they were an NFL team and went to the Super Bowl, like the Golden Knights went to the Stanley Cup in their inaugural season, there would be a movie made about that team. There would be a documentary already made about that team. And I know we talked about it back then, but because it's the NHL, it certainly seems like VGK did not get all the full scope that they probably deserve in the sporting world. But they've been proactive to maintain their success. Right now, they only have 6 players from that original 2017 season. Remember before I said they had 10 players after 4 years? Right now, only 6 remain. Carlson, Marchessault, McNabb, Theodore, Carrier, and Whitecloud. That's it. There's your original 6 from 2017. But they've been proactive, right? Not only buying at the deadlines, but also sending players away in the summertime. If you look at an all-time list of players that the Golden Knights have had, including the Phil Kessels, the Marc-Andre Fleury's, like you almost forget about, oh yeah, they had him for a certain period of time. They move on from players just as quick as they acquire them, so I do credit them for keeping the wheel moving and not getting set and kind of stuck in the quicksand. They traded for Eichel, Hanifin, Adin Hill, Tomas Hertl, Stone, Leonard, and so many others that are key integral parts of their team. But again, like I said, they don't remain so committed to those players that they'll sign them up for the rest of their career, and then they find themselves in difficult positions. Yes, I still think Golden Knight fans are in the honeymoon phase still, right? And so we don't know what your true existence is going to be like. We don't know how the fans are going to be when it's 5 straight years out of the playoffs. I mean, again, the Stanley Cup final appearance in year 1, and considering all that Las Vegas had just been through in that October, which we'll talk about, it was so meaningful. It was such a tone to set. It was such a bar, a high bar to place, and to have to meet year after year. To just appear in the Stanley Cup final in year 1, let alone to win it in year 6, is very unprecedented. And I mean, ask a team like the Vancouver Canucks, 50 plus years, and they still haven't won a Stanley Cup. That's something the Golden Knights did within 6 years. Look, it normally doesn't happen that way. And I don't know if that has fully sunk in with Golden Knights fans. And that is not a knock. This is the only existence you know. If you really are a Vegas hockey fan and that's it, and Vegas got you into hockey, you don't know any different. I can't blame you for that. I'm telling you to enjoy it because this is absolutely not typical. And it's not just the Cup appearance and the Cup win of last season, but they've made the playoffs in 5 of 6 seasons. It's about to be 6 of 7 seasons. So the initial success, I mean, you look across professional sports, unprecedented is probably just the best word for it. But time catches up with everyone. And we've really yet to see what a roster is going to look like with bad attendance during the lean years. And maybe it happens because you know what? It happens to everybody. And let me just say this from a personal perspective, the San Jose Sharks, through most of their existence, have had no major speed bumps. And if you look at their last decade, like the 2010s, like as soon as the puck dropped on opening night, let's go to the playoffs and figure out who we're going to face in round 1. But even hard times come with hard salary cap situations like the NHL. It produces a scenario where you're going to have difficult times in the existence of your franchise, just like the Sharks are going through. Signed some long contracts, now trying to get out of them, trying to totally rebuild the franchise. And VGK might find itself, and look, will find itself in that position eventually. So we've just yet to see what things look like in the lean years. I wish you Golden Knights fans the best through those. I'm just telling you they are inevitable in the way that the NHL is structured. All the original 6 teams have been through that multiple times in their existence. It's to say that you've done so well in the first 6.5, almost 7 full seasons, and you haven't had a taste of this. You will. Let's also understand it is going to happen, and we'll get a true test of who you are through the difficult times as well, too. And I hope that's understood. That's as fair as it can be. It happens to everybody. I will say on the flip side, I really do appreciate what seems to be good ownership. Bill Foley comes in as the majority owner. Seems like he loves hockey. Seems like he also gets hockey. Seems like he gets the market. Seems like he really wants his team to be proactive, creative, push the boundaries. I respect and appreciate all of that. I don't know him, but I've heard him speak. And I think you can gauge a lot from somebody's demeanor, their presentation, their approach, what they say, what they don't say. I think Bill Foley is, from what I understand, great for the NHL and great for the sporting scene in Las Vegas. It's a unique market, right? Sin City, in that there's tourists and that maybe you'd like to have some of them come to your games, but not all of them. You want to have your knowledgeable, like home fans, home ice advantage. So that's a difficult scenario. All the snowbirds in the middle of winter, they might take that trip down to Las Vegas from Toronto, from Winnipeg, from Edmonton, from Calgary, from Van, from Chicago, from Buffalo, you name it, from Minnesota. Families, couples, they'll fly in from a traditional hockey city to go watch their team play against the Golden Knights. It's a unique market in this wintertime scenario with the snowbirds coming in that you want to accommodate them, right? You want to make it a sold-out arena. You want to sell tickets, but at the same time, Bill Foley has created a system where he doesn't even let groups of visiting fans sit together, right, at the games. They realize that's a problem. They were proactive about it. He talked about this last year after winning the Cup, I believe. He was very honest about it. So, again, this is not the easiest situation for him. He's not taking over a traditional hockey market. He's had to do some things. He also privately financed T-Mobile Arena. Allegiant Stadium, when the Raiders came in, was it $700 million that they got from hotel room taxes. They asked for a lot of public money. What the Oakland A's are trying to do in their relocation right now, $380 million of public funding plus a bunch of tax breaks and property tax exemption over the years. But T-Mobile Arena, Bill Foley said, you know what? We'll take that right there. We'll buy that right there. We'll build that right there. We'll do it all entirely by ourselves. Again, I really appreciate good ownership of the Vegas Golden Knights and what it appears to be. There's also truth to Vegas Sporn. I will never go against that. I don't know that I can entirely understand it, just in a sense that I'm not from there, I don't live there, but I respect it. I understand it. I appreciate it. The 1 October tragedy of 2017, the shooting at the Country Music Festival there, unfathomable. And that happened right before the inaugural season, and Las Vegas just needed, I don't want to say a distraction because that's not fair, but they needed a different way to channel their energy. And the Golden Knights gave it to them. And the NHL was the first major pro sports league to arrive and to accept Las Vegas. And for so many decades, it was like, that's untouchable. You can't go there. And then the NHL went there. They were the first in the door, and they are truly treated like Vegas's own child. And in a place like Las Vegas with transplants and imports everywhere, like even the Statue of Liberty or the Eiffel Tower or the pyramids or whatever else, if the Sydney Opera House gets built there, like this is a place that takes stuff from other places and appreciates them and has a lot of people move there, but this is something they can actually call their own. And maybe the NBA is going to follow this. I mean, if you look at if they really do get all 4 professional sports, hockey is Las Vegas's own product. Football definitely was not. If baseball goes this way with the A's, it's definitely not their own thing. But the NBA would be its own thing in Las Vegas, just like the hockey team. So again, I will never knock Vegas Sporn. I understand that. I respect that. I appreciate that from afar. Oh, bending the cap rules in the playoffs. This is a controversial one right now. Let's approach this one. It's all about LTIR, long-term injured reserve, because there is no salary cap in the NHL playoffs. I don't even know if everybody's aware of that. So the situation is players get paid during the regular season. You can't even really have a salary cap in the postseason because there's no way to really structure that. But it's also an amazing thing because you got a guy like Mark Stone, their captain, on a $9.5 million contract who is on LTIR late in the season for the 3rd straight season. And just like last year where he missed a bunch of games with the back injury and then was all of a sudden ready for game 1 of the playoffs, I'm not doubting the spleen injury. Is it a ruptured spleen? Is that what it is technically? Like he's got a serious bodily injury that was suffered. There's no question about that. And to say that the Golden Knights are faking the injuries, I'm not. No. We're not doing that here. I'm not going there. I'm just saying 2 things here. Number 1, the optics of this. Now, granted, there's like 10 plus other teams across the league, I went and looked, that are also using a significant amount of LTIR space right now to their benefit, right? So that the LTIR money, when you're on the LTIR, long-term injured reserve, the player's salary doesn't count against the cap. So you can go out and get a Hannafin. You can go out and get a Hurdle. You can stuff all those players at the end of your season. And then once the floodgates open in the playoffs, you can have them all play because, again, there's no salary cap. I'm just saying the optics of this. Even if you mean well, even if you're following all the rules, and they are, they're just, maybe they've found a way to get ahead of the system. Everybody's watching this. They wouldn't be allowed to do it if it was cheating. But, I mean, 3 straight years for the same player who's the captain who carries that much of a cap hit. And I think the Golden Knights are total 15.5 over the cap, including the LTIR right now with a couple players, Leonard included. It begs the question of, okay, maybe the player was hurt. Maybe Mark Stone was hurt last year. And I think the injury happened in January of 2023, and then he didn't play until the playoffs. Maybe he was ready by March. And the Golden Knights said, just really take your time on this one. We want to get you right for the playoffs. It also helps our salary cap situation. Again, I'm not saying anybody's cheating here. I'm saying this is interesting. I'm saying there's a lot of attention surrounding this. There's a lot of simple understanding. People didn't even know that there's no salary cap in the NHL playoffs, or it's not applied during that part of the season. And so it just comes across in a really weird way. And like, it's not just the Mark Stone deal. They traded for Jack Eichel before he had his surgery. So obviously none of the money of having him on the team actually counted against the cap. And then all of a sudden he's ready to go. And the Golden Knights, it's a lot more of an affordable situation. So I'm not going to say you're cheating. I'm not going to say nobody should be paying attention to this either, right? People should be monitoring this, not just the Golden Knights, but all teams around the NHL. Here's another statement that Golden Knights fans always put right back at me. Oh, well, everybody said hockey wouldn't work. You all said that hockey wouldn't work in the desert. Well, I mean, people were certainly curious. Anytime the NHL goes into a non-traditional hockey market, like, for example, Atlanta right now, they've already been in Atlanta twice. They might go back for a third time, and people are skeptical of that. To be skeptical and have some uncertainty is different than saying, I guarantee that's not going to work. There were some unknowns going into Las Vegas for hockey and for any pro sports team. And I think Las Vegans took that personally and said, well, you told us it couldn't work. We make things happen here. There's no question. You get a lot of things done there. You say yes to a lot of things, and you make a lot of things work. And so far, in the short term, this has worked. No question about it. The long term's a different story, but nobody doubted you. They just questioned the entire process. I mean, look, if hockey works in Nashville, Florida, and Tampa, which I guess it does, Dallas, then why not VGK? Kind of a Sunbelt hockey city. And it's not like you need a huge crowd for an entire baseball season. You don't need 33,000 for 81 home games. That's like 2.6 million fans. You only need 18,000 people about 41 times a year. During the winter, it's not the best weather. You can get some people to fly in from out of town to watch their team in a one-off situation, one game at a time, and they put on a show. They have the whole pregame show. The Golden Knight apparently is undefeated now after 300 battles. Look, nobody said hockey couldn't work there. Oh, maybe some did, not me. I never said hockey wouldn't work there. In fact, they didn't really talk about this at all back then. I was just curious. How is this going to go? And it's gone well, but don't shove that back in people's faces. Like, it's not good to carry that grudge over so long. People had questions, and you've answered the questions so far. Okay, this is an interesting slide right here. The Golden Knights branding and logo. Are we getting petty about this stuff? No, but I do want to say some things because there's actually a twist here. There's a compliment as well as a twist. Okay, you play in Las Vegas. Oh, wait a second. I'm smarter now. I know a few things better now. You actually play in Paradise, Nevada, because the Strip is not Las Vegas. The Strip is Paradise, Nevada. So now that we've got that established, the NHL sent a memo to broadcasters, I want to say either in 2017 or 18, or maybe it was 16 or 17. All of us got the email that said, please don't refer to the Golden Knights as the Las Vegas Golden Knights. They'll be called the Vegas Golden Knights. And I don't remember if they said it specifically, but it was certainly implied that 4 words as part of their name was too cluttered. So they didn't want to call it the Las Vegas Golden Knights. It's too much. Vegas Golden Knights. It comes off the tongue easier, I guess. But you still play in the Las Vegas area. We don't just call them the York Rangers or the Angeles Angels. The Angeles Kings, right? We don't shorten names of other cities just because that's the lingo. And I get it. A lot of people call Las Vegas just Vegas. I get it. But what other team in pro sports uses not even a formal nickname? And I know people say, what about the Golden State Warriors? Well, that's actually the name of the state, right? We're not cutting half a name off. It's something formal and full. It's not slang, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'll lose that argument with people. Again, maybe we're getting too deep in the weeds here, right? But that's fine. For me, I don't get how a hockey team can come in and say, we're changing the name of the city we play in. That's just kind of weird. Okay. The logo, the V with the shield, it's ugly. I'm sorry. You could be more creative. Somebody can redesign that. I can't wait for their refresh in 5, 10 years, whatever. I will say one thing I actually really like about the Golden Knights, I like their colors. I like the brown. I like that kind of like glittery gold, maybe some dark red trim on occasion. It's unique, right? It's not a color scheme and a theme that a lot of pro sports teams have gone with. I feel like sometimes they overdo the Excalibur thing a little bit much, like right across the way. The realm and all that stuff. Okay, I get it. You got to play to something. But I do like the colors. I'm not like thrilled with the logo. I think they've done something unique. But please, 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 ditch those gold buckets for your own sake. Right now, this is not me hating. This is not me being jealous, certainly, because I would never want one of my teams wearing the metallic buckets like that. They don't look like Notre Dame football gold helmets that are classy and spray painted and done out of tradition. Those buckets look like a cheap Christmas ornament. They look that kind of shiny gold. Now, is it C-3PO? R2-D2 is a small one. Oh, man, I know. I'm going to get in trouble here. I just got a lot of unsubscribes. Like, you look like C-3PO with those buckets. What are you doing with those? And I know the Kings have the silver ones. It doesn't make it any better that they're doing it also. Just get rid of the buckets, please. The gold ones are so bad. Okay, we'll end it on that. I've run out of steam. I've run out of gas. I've gone way too long on this, but I just wanted to get this across. Vegas, you get talked about a lot. You're in the news. You're relevant. I guess congratulations on that. I just didn't want to be misinterpreted anymore. You were lucky to have the kind of draft you did. You took advantage of it. Good for you. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. I congratulate you on that. You didn't cheat. You had it better than others. Like, there's no question about that. The LTIR thing right now, a little dicey, but I'm not accusing you of cheating. You're trying really hard to win a second Stanley Cup in a row. And now you've got Tomas Hertl. So I don't necessarily specifically root for the Golden Knights to win the Stanley Cup, but if Tomas Hertl gets to win one, then congratulations to him. All right, congratulations to you because you made it here to the end of this very interesting video. Thumbs up down below. That'll help me and the channel. I guess you can put some comments down there too. I don't know. I mean, I don't know where this is going to go. We'll see. I said what I said. I don't know what you're going to say in response to this, but if you're new here, you've never seen me or this channel before, that's awesome. I'm glad you found me. Make sure you subscribe down below so I can definitely see you back here next time.